Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker. We've got an excellent show for you today. I'm really excited about it. We have Rita McClenny, and Rita is the president at Virginia Tourism. Is that correct, Rita?
Yes, I am, Adam.
So sometimes I get a little nervous about halfway through the intro going, oh no, did I mess up the title?
You picked the right box.
Nice. Nice. Well, Rita, I'm really excited to have you join us today. We've got a great conversation coming up. And what we like to do just to kind of get to know our guest every time is just ask a couple of simple travel related questions. So I want to start with your dream destination, Rita. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Adam, if I could go any place in the world, it would be right here in Virginia. I have to say that. And I know you say, well, of course
That's
you would say
cheating.
that. However, there's a reason for that. Because when we look at our loves, what we do with the people that we love and care about, where we go, what we want to share with those that we care about, and how we would like to create a legacy around those experiences. I find that all in Virginia.
Hmm.
And that's what I go out every single day as I travel around the world to invite people to Virginia to have these experiences and to talk about what is known and the unknown and the undiscovered and what's to come, for the future. Because we talk a lot about, too, how do you grow tourism? How do you not just look at it as a business, but I look at it as a way of building communities.
I love that. Okay, so let's just say theoretically, Virginia was not one of the possible answers for you. And let's just say potentially that was cheating and you weren't allowed to do that. What other destination would you love to travel to someday?
I love Switzerland,
Mm.
and I spent time in Sweden. I have this real affection for the Benelux countries, and probably because so much of what I've experienced there reminds me of Virginia. The beautiful rolling hills, a little more mountainous than I find in Virginia, but nonetheless, there's lots of agriculture. There's lots of beautiful aquaculture. I love seafood. I love boating. I love horseback riding. So all those things, I find when I travel to the Benelux countries.
You know, Rita, I'm starting to think that you may be in the perfect role for you because all roads lead back to Virginia, even from Switzerland.
That's right. And they're
That's great.
nonstop flights.
There's nonstop flights, you said?
Yeah, nonstop
Okay.
flights between Geneva and Zurich to International Dulles IAG. So it makes it easy to get to also the place outside of Virginia that I love to travel to on United Airlines.
Awesome. Awesome. So if we can't find you in Virginia, we'll start looking in Switzerland to see if we can find you there.
Indeed.
Well, Rita, what about a favorite travel memory that stands out to you? It can be from your childhood or as an adult or whatever it is. When you look back on your life, what's one of those core memories from travel that you have?
Yeah, one of the real core memories for me is my dad was a missionary in Malat, Lott, Lot Carey, Cary, Lot Carey Mission in Monrovia, Liberia. And at our church, my dad was very involved with the mission, and he was named an official, person who was a philanthropist, but a teacher and someone who gave to the mission on an ongoing basis. So we had a pastor from Washington, D.C., who would come every year to our church in Ivor, Virginia. And on occasion, he would take my dad on a mission, and my dad would help train and teach farming practices. He shipped a tractor over. My mom would go over and teach about preserving and canning goods so there's food throughout the year. So we went on a family trip one of those years in the 70s to Africa, to Monrovia, Liberia. And it was just such an indelible, I made so many friends, and it was just a world away from the world that I grew up in. But I came to really love the place. And students then returned to the States, and they went to various colleges in the United States. And they would come visit our family and we would have big cookouts. So it was like this sister relationship between Virginia and Liberia.
Wow. So was this a service mission that you went on as well, or was it more of a tourism activity for you?
I was having a good time. I was a tourist. So
Okay.
I was hanging out with the kids and they would go show me places and we would go discover different, towns and we'd go to the city. We had a great time. Yeah. I was on vacation. My parents were there teaching and training.
Okay, they were working, you were playing.
That's right. Perfect.
That's perfect.
As it should have been.
Well, how amazing and how amazing that you got to have an experience on the other side of the world like that and actually bring it back with you and have them come visit you after the fact, and
Yeah.
that's pretty special to be able to have that. I don't think very many people get that opportunity to have it go both ways.
Yes, indeed. And I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. Well, Rita, you and I met because Pat Romer from your team I think he originally heard me speak at an event, and then he's been listening to the podcast ever since. And he's like, you got to meet Rita. And so I've been really excited to have this conversation. And I really appreciate Pat for putting it together. How did he convince you to come on this little old podcast? What did he say?
You said you got to meet Adam. He's such a cool guy. I think you guys would get along great. And he just enjoyed meeting you and thought you are so interesting. And networking is all about that, right? It's about
Yep.
connecting with people and finding similarities or discoveries.
Yeah.
So we never know on any given day or any given encounter with another human being how it's going to connect us to them. So it was a great connection that you all made, and he came back home to the office and made that connection with me. And here we are.
I love it. Well, I'm really glad that he put us together. I'd love to have our listeners learn a little bit about your professional journey. Where did it start, and how did you end up at the role that you're in now as the president of Virginia Tourism?
So I feel like during the journey of my career, all roads have led me back to Virginia. And wherever I've lived in California, Virginia, of course, New York, and Georgia. And I had this calling just to return home. And it became so natural and organic, if you will, because my heartstrings with my family and wanting to be closer to them, because I had traveled so much of my life and again, lived other places. And our family farm is very dear to me and my entire family. So this felt like it is my natural landing place. I love to travel. However, I really love to come home.
Great. And what was your professional background? Like, what were the types of jobs that you worked before coming to Virginia Tourism?
My first job was with a bank. I was in the banking officer program at the Trust Company of Georgia. Then I worked with Eastman Kodak in Georgia. I worked also with a entertainment company, Maritala Moore, MTM, in Virginia Beach, Virginia, as well as in Los Angeles, California, and also Lockheed Aeronautical. So I worked on the marketing team, recruiting business to Lockheed Aeronautical for their C-5B program because they sold planes to other countries, and I was on that team.
So it doesn't sound to me like a direct road into the president of Virginia Tourism. So how did you get from airline business to tourism?
I got here because all of those positions taught me how to sell, how to engage with people, how to build relationships in order to provide a service and a product. And that's exactly what I landed on when I returned to Virginia. Before tourism, I was in economic development. So I worked on a team that was recruiting businesses from Canada to move and expand in Virginia. So that was one when I returned home. Then I was the film commissioner for 20 years to recruit film productions to the state of Virginia. So I knew how to sell Virginia to Hollywood, if you will. And then that naturally led me, or not naturally, but it did lead me to this position right here, Virginia Tourism.
Great. And now, I mean, you're promoting the entire state, which I actually think it's kind of difficult to market an entire state because there's so many unique experiences within the state. I mean, regionally, even you've got everything from Southern Virginia down by Bristol. And Bristol's such an interesting place for me because you've got the Tennessee side and you've got Virginia side all in one city. And then you've got, the metropolitan part of Virginia, and of course you're very close even to the capital, and then you've got Virginia Beach, and I'm sure you've got a lot more regions, and each of those in and of themselves is an entirely unique vacation, entirely unique experience. So if you had to give us the kind of simplified elevator pitch of the state of Virginia, what makes it unique?
Location is one, and you may say that's not unique. However, you may drive to three-quarters of the country from Virginia in a day's drive, and we consider a day's drive 300 miles, a tank of gas,
Okay.
and our topography. Atlantic Ocean, Blue Ridge Parkway. The most scenic highway in America is the Blue Ridge Parkway, so it's 470 miles. So in a given day, not that you necessarily want to arrange your vacation this way, but you could experience seeing dolphins, swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, and then driving to see the beautiful Blue Ridge Parkway in one day. 370 wineries, over 200 breweries, distilleries. The agritourism industry is booming and alive, and people love to have these farm experiences around agritourism. And we have just a phenomenal network of interstates that easily transport you and get you from point A to point B. And we have 12 airports, but we have a gateway airport, Dulles International in Northern Virginia, which is connected to 32 capital countries in the world.
Amazing. Okay. So exactly kind of what I was thinking is that is a diverse set of assets that you have to market. And I think it's the reason that we have, state DMOs as kind of a holistic marketing tool, but then you also have each individual destination. So I'm curious, as you're figuring out how to work with individual destinations within your state, what is that best or optimal dynamic between the state DMO and the individual DMOs that you serve? How do you create a really healthy relationship between you and those other individual DMOs?
Our relationship is created through collaborations, partnerships. However, the power of our brand, Virginia's for Lovers, cannot be understated. It's 56 years, created in 1969. It was created by a small agency, and it has endured all this time. And we are one of the most highly recognized state DMO brands in this country. I'd argue the most recognized because we were before I Love New York. We were 1 year before I Love New York. So what do you think happened there? So really, our relationship with our destination marketing offices are built around the power of Virginia's for Lovers, for them being able to connect to us, kind of the wonder love of all of the assets and the consumer connected products that happen in a community and a locality, because people are traveling to a place. And we help coach them and promote and advertise with them on how to bring people to their destination. But it really is about leading with the trademark brand, Virginia's for Lovers.
Yeah, I like that, and you have built an incredible brand that is so recognizable, like you said. With individual destinations, and the dynamic with the state DMO, almost every state has its own kind of version of a cooperative marketing program or a grant program or something like that. I know you have your own programs. What does that look like in helping support those DMOs with their individual destination messages?
Yeah, we research and we buy down the cost of DMO investing in a tool that they believe is ideal for their locality to invite and be able to market to the consumer to ensure that they can experience their product, how to maximize the efficiency, whether that's through AI or that's through some social tools. But again, we're leading with Virginia's for Lovers. So we look at what's working in the marketplace. So we know once upon a time, the website was the thing. Well, it was print, then the web, newsletters, and we keep evolving. And now the social network, the connected TV platforms, these are all the ways that people are maximizing their voice and being able to further personalize and target their messages to their consumer audience that they want to attract to their locality.
If you haven't heard of CMO Jam yet, honestly, where have you been? This has been one of the coolest things I've ever had the opportunity to be a part of. In August, we brought together 12 of the most brilliant marketing minds in the destination marketing industry, and we were able to talk through the challenges, difficulties, but also wins and successes. And we talked about the future of destination marketing. We talked about the impact that AI is going to have in our industry. And it was such an amazing opportunity to spend an entire day with some of our brightest peers and watch them interact and discuss the challenges that they're going through on a daily basis and how every destination marketer can plan for the future. CMO Jam was a massive hit, and it's now being released as episodes, and episode 1 just came out a couple of weeks ago, and you're going to continue to see those episodes released weekly. You can find them on Brand Revolt's YouTube channel. You can find them on Tourism IQ. I've shared the link to them on my LinkedIn, and I can't wait for you to see what happened at CMO Jam. Give it a listen. One of the things that I think you guys have been able to do that's really interesting is because of your brand, you can attract sporting events or other major events that other destinations may not have the ability to do on their own. And so I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the work that you're doing, especially considering the fact that Virginia doesn't have a professional sports team, and yet you still rank really high nationally in sporting related revenue. So can you talk a little bit about the sporting side of things and the role that you play in helping get sporting events to the individual destinations within the state of Virginia?
Location, location, location. And then it's communities investing in these venues and in the recruiting. We go to all of the sporting shows, trade events, where we're meeting the sports rights holders, and our partners go with us. We have a group called Sports Virginia. It has about 40 members, and they believe in this. They believe in us. They believe that the power of marketing together and going to these trade events and having invested in these venues make all the difference in the world. And then we work with our hotel partners because, as you know, the traveling sports enthusiasts and the amateur teams, they look for a particular kind of hotel experience that has to be targeted to their needs. So we have helped with our DMOs train and how to support hotels to have the right product. And again, it's location and being able to drive here because these parents, they're not flying to all these locations, right? All the traveling parents that I always talk to, they go, yep, we were on the road all weekend and we drove, 200-300 miles. And
Yeah.
then the next weekend, they're doing the same thing. So it's really about accessibility, about community product, and about recruitment and bringing the teams in and having the infrastructure like the hotels as well as the venues.
So you at the state level, you have a sales team that helps bring in these events.
Of one.
A sales team of 1. Okay. All right. That's a big team. So that salesperson, not team, I guess, works with the individual DMOs. And I know the individual DMO's job is to focus on infrastructure and venue and making sure that their destination has the amenities required for certain events to come. And
Yes.
then they work with collaboratively with your sales team to be able to go out, recruit those events, and make sure that those events are aware of the facilities that your individual DMOs have in place. Am I
Yes.
understanding that dynamic correctly?
Yes. And then they bid, because you only get the business if you have the successful bid. So the bid is about, are you helping with logistics on the ground? Again, is the cost of lodging affordable? And do you have enough of the fields or whatever those needs are to put on the big softball tournament or the big soccer tournament or the big, whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Well, I've got to imagine that there's got to be a lot of close collaboration between you and each individual DMO to make that happen. But clearly, it has been happening because I believe in our previous call you said that you're ranked 10th in the country for sports tourism.
Yeah, we're ranked number 10 and the only state, as you mentioned, without a professional team. Yeah. So we're very proud of that.
Amazing, amazing. So let's expand on that a little bit because one of the things that I think you've, at least as you mentioned in our previous call, that you struggled with a little bit is your current average nightly stay in the state is 4 nights. You'd
Yes.
like to see that get to 5 to 7 nights. How do you intend to do that?
We will grow by having more product, invest in new product, as well as building out capacity for programs. And sports is one of those. Music, as an example, trails, festivals, and again, infrastructure in the ground. Next year, Kalahari Resorts will open their 5th resort in Spotsylvania County, which is just along Interstate 95. It's about 30 minutes south of Washington, D.C., and it's 300,000 square feet under roof, water park,
Wow.
convention space, 900 hotel rooms and suites, restaurants, all the great things that people look for. And it's just one exit off of Interstate 95. So very
Wow.
conveniently located. And it's almost $1 billion investment. It'll open November of 2026. So it's going to be great for families, great for meeting planners, and just a great resort experience.
That addition alone may give you the extra room nights that you're looking
That's
for,
right.
right?
Exactly, Adam. One-stop shop.
That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about an activation that you told me about that you did recently with the Philadelphia Phillies because I I really think that sometimes it's difficult to figure out how to get people's attention. Like media, with the way that we've been buying media in the past, you can put an ad in front of somebody, but does that ad really get their attention? Does it really get them to act? You did an activation with the Philadelphia Phillies, and I'd love to have you talk about that and why it was impactful for you as a destination.
It was such a great experience traveling to Philadelphia and working with 5 of our DMO partners to have them also invest along with us to extend an invitation to those sports fans who were there at the game, whether they were from Philadelphia or New York. It was a 4-night stand with the Mets versus the Phillies. And we had advertising on automobiles through Carvatize. We took over the Metro station with all kinds of advertising from Virginia's for Lovers, Sports Lovers, to our partner images and those locality attractions that they were recruiting people to come see. We had people sign up. So we turned 160,000 touches to people who were at the game into a marketing tool so that we could retarget them, we could share more information, and we have them in our database to keep and to continue to have a conversation to invite them to Virginia, whether it's by rail, car, or air.
I love that. So
Or biking. They can cycle. No, that's a long bike trip, right?
that's a little bit of a trip,
Yeah,
but
but yeah.
I like a lot of things about that activation. Number one, you made sure that it was on a weekend when not only the Phillies fans were going to be excited about it, but also another market that's in your range, right? New
Yeah,
York
New
was able to
York.
come in. And
Yeah.
I think that's really helpful. how were you able to, you said you turned those 160,000 people that had exposure to you in the game into a marketing tool. What did you do after the fact to follow up with those people that attended and make sure that you build more of a relationship with them?
Yeah, we connected to them by their email addresses
Okay.
and in different ways. So we sent a newsletter, we sent an email, we had them opt in, and we also will keep exposing them to our winter program, our spring and summer. So we will stay engaged with these introductions that were made to those individuals to continue to invite them to Virginia. So it wasn't just at the game, hey, come see us, here's a bumper sticker. It was, hey, please share your email address because we want to share information with you along the way to keep you up to date with what's happening in Virginia. Because you don't want to just give out your information and hope that people will come and convert. You want to continue to interact with them and engage them in a way that you find something that they care about and they love, and they are willing to take the trip. And I know we've already had some trips. Amtrak identified some early results from that activation.
Oh, I love it. So I want to come back to those results because that's interesting. But I wanted to kind of illustrate for our audience. This is what the state DMO and individual DMO dynamic can look like if executed correctly. Is you go identify a big opportunity like an activation with the Phillies that an individual DMO might not be able to participate in on their own because of
Alone.
their limited budget. But you put 5 of them together along with the state's participation, and not only do the participating individual DMOs get some sort of benefit from being a part of that, also the DMOs that were not in attendance, if you believe in the theory that all boats rise in the tide, if it's effective for those 5 DMOs, it's also going to be effective for the rest of the state to get that exposure. And so I like the idea behind what you guys did there and how you collaborated with the individual DMOs. What were those KPIs that you were looking for to evaluate whether or not this was a successful campaign?
We were looking for the opt ins, and we were looking for requests for more information, whether it was a travel guide or it was programmatic information. We were looking for interest in coming to Virginia for winter, and then we'll have continued touches, and also for our partners to say that they had seen a lift as a result of the opportunity, that they were there on the ground with us and they have been engaged.
What did that partnership with Amtrak look like, and what kind of metrics were they giving you? Are they able to see that somebody who showed up at the game ended up on one of their trains headed your way, or how did that work?
Well, they just looked at ridership within the 4 weeks because they had no other campaign going.
Okay.
So they had nothing special out of the ordinary, rather, no sales, nothing that would have moved the needle but for the Philadelphia activation.
Okay, so the net additional lift on the Amtrak trains going from Philadelphia
Philly
to
to
Virginia,
Virginia. Yes.
yep, they were
Yeah.
able to see a significant lift from that campaign. That's cool.
Yes.
I've talked a lot lately about the transition that needs to take place in this new era of AI, of going from being paid for what you do to being paid for how you think. And that goes for every individual marketer at every organization, but it also goes for every agency that's serving destinations. And right now, so many destinations are paying their agency for what they do and feeling that there's lack in how they think. If you want an agency focused on the right thinking first, followed by making sure that the plan is executed correctly, talk to me or one of my team members at Brand Revolt. We are really focused on this transition, and this is part of the reason we've stayed small and nimble to make sure that we're building for the future. We've made this transition and are still in the process of perfecting it, from being paid for what we do to being paid for how we think. We want to be a strategic partner and not just a bunch of executors, button pushers. We want to make sure that we are doing the very best for the money that you're paying. In many cases, a lot of agencies are probably already leveraging AI to execute on a lot of different things, But man, if you're going to be paying an agency, shouldn't you be getting the very best strategic recommendations, strategic direction, so that you know that your plan can be successful? At Brand Revolt, we want to help you do that. Make sure you reach out to me, adam@thebrandrevolt.com, and I'll make sure that my team of strategic thinkers does an incredible job helping you build the best marketing plan you can for your destination. That's adam@thebrandrevolt.com. I'm sure there's a lot more questions that I could ask you. We're coming up against time here, and I'd really, I mean, you've been doing this a long time now, and you see so many different individual destinations and also state DMOs. Give me kind of, Rita's high level advice for anybody that's marketing, whether in an individual DMO or in a state. What do people need to know in order to be successful in their role?
I believe in this marketplace that we sit in 2025, as we're planning for 2026, look at the technology. What are the resources where you can retarget? Look at opportunities to always collaborate, share resources, inclusive partnerships where multiple parties can benefit and share information. Share voice when we're looking at influencers is also a platform that we see has a great return. When those influencers can then share with their followers, it's the multiplier effect of personalization, but also with technology. And now that we are looking to invest in AI from a programmatic standpoint, we're looking at a couple of tools like the Guide Geek, which is owned by Matador Network.
Yeah.
And while we can put together itineraries, we can use a AI tool that can develop itineraries, but the human touch is still in there to make sure it's correct. The hours of open and close, all of the amenities, we want to make sure that everything is included in any information that we put out, even though we have this great, powerful resource to work with. So it's all the things that are coming next in the pipeline to better help destination marketing organizations, hospitality and travel businesses to connect with the consumer, to really share the products that they have and the experiences. And we still want to make it very personal, because at the end of the day, tourism is about people, touching people, and customer service and kindness and great results and a big smile and safety and something that's fun, because we want to have fun. And if it's like sports related and music, we are truly capturing results that will last a lifetime through photography and through sharing.
I love it. I think that personalization topic that you touched on there is really important. People want to feel like they're having an experience that was custom made for them. And if
Yes.
you make people feel that way, you're making a huge difference in not only their willingness to travel there once, but probably their willingness to travel again and tell their friends about it, which is exactly what
Yes.
we're looking for. Rita, this has been a really great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. I know you got a lot going on. So thanks for sharing some of your experience with us today.
Well, I'm happy you and Pat met.
Me too. Absolutely.
Right. Well, thanks, Adam. We love your show, and thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening.
Virginia's for Adam lovers.
Virginia's for
Virginia's
Adam
for Adam
lovers.
lovers.
I like that. That's great. Well, I may have to make some t-shirts with that.
That's right. It's a great t-shirt.
Awesome. And thanks everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the episode today, please don't forget to leave us a rating or a review. It really helps us a lot and helps us continue to bring you amazing guests like Rita. Thanks everybody, and have a great week.